social consciousness. I am Lawi The German. In a world of specialization, material culture and bias filters, many lose themselves trying to be conformists. Human traits are sacrificed and eroded on a daily basis. And in turn, a culture is built that densely chokes the wellness of the people in it. The Samaismela Show seeks to raise the collective social consciousness at the human level and spread positive energy to the nation. But first, the mellow sounds of Aimee coping, reciting "O land, O lilies."
In a land on yonder, in wander and wonder, the caravans slow ponder, a heritage of plunder, bequeathed ne'er new bequest under. Dwell ye in spirit of the land, Sander. Sorrow westerly pitter-patter, for the land hinter hunter. Any shin there be, in you wit may teeter, welcoming easterly shores pity-patter. Nations build fast, first build nation. She hone, lay tone, she norm, begone. Pledge fealty, make known a heritage unknown, reclaiming renown for generations in on.
Welcome to the first episode of the Samaismela Show. In this show, we're going to explore the topic, Who Are You? With me in studio are two guests, Jon and Jim. Since this interview was recorded separately, I will play the segments of the interviews with both of them. And then I will invite you to head on to our YouTube page, Samaismela, and there you'll find the full interviews for your listenership. So here we go. As we're starting off the show, one of the things that I like to do is pick a couple of what I call selection of global news and events, just to open up the minds about what else is happening in the world at this point. Right now, we're talking about the Nigeria elections. So Nigeria elections took place. These were some of what the news media was recording. So the Doshwell News website, DW.com, was reporting only 3 out of the 18 candidates in the Nigeria elections stood a realistic chance of winning the presidency on February 25th. The 3 of them are Bola Tinubu, Atiku Abubakar, and Peter Obi. These are the candidates that stood the greatest chance of winning. CNN went on to give a very good breakdown of who these candidates are. And I'll read to you what CNN was saying. So CNN was saying, Tinubu, a 70-year-old former governor of Nigeria's wealthy state of Lagos, wielded influence in the southern western region of Nigeria, where he is acclaimed as a political godfather and kingmaker. Tinubu comes from the ruling party and is known to be an affluent political veteran who boasts of aiding the election of Muhammadu Buhari, who was a sitting president. And he helped Muhammadu Buhari win on his 4th attempt at presidency in 2015, after 3 previous unsuccessful bids. Tinubu himself was being challenged by a 76-year-old Atiku Abubakar, who was running for the 6th time, following 5 previous losses. Abubakar served as vice president between 1999 and the year 2007. There is a new entrant in the run for presidency in Nigeria called Peter Obi. He's 61 years old. He's a 2-time former governor from a state called Anambra. He was touted to be very credible of the 2 major candidates. He shuns large entourages. He flies economy and carries his own luggage. His no-frills approach has attracted hordes of supporters, mostly young Nigerians who call themselves obedients. So his name is Peter Obi. And
okay, I got
his followers. You got it. Okay.
Oh, that's actually a good sign.
Okay, that's
when
good.
People call you a nickname, that means they love you.
Okay.
In a way, they respect you. They feel comfortable with you.
All right. Obi is the only Christian among the leading candidates, or was the only Christian.
Oh,
right.
Female. I'm
The
sorry,
rest-
I was assuming something different.
And he came from the south. All the rest came from the north.
Johannesburg area, like
right.
very far south.
Very.
Like Johannesburg area, like very far south of Africa, or did he come from the region of Nigeria to southern
Nigeria, south of
okay.
Nigeria. Right.
All right.
So I'll go into the graphics. I give you a little bit more detail. So here we go. Let me give you the statistics. I shared with you that Nigeria had 93 million voters.
Mm-hmm.
So according to the Electoral Commission of Nigeria, this is called the Independent National Electoral Commission. They gave a breakdown of what the demographics look like, and this is what they said. They say the youth who were aged between 18 and 34 were 37 million voters, and they represented 39.65% of the voting population.
Good third.
And then there was a middle age, 35 to 49, and these are 33 million voters, representing 35.75%. Very close.
Yeah.
The elderly, aged between 50 and 69, 17 million voters, representing 18.94%.
Some couldn't make it there. Some weren't able to. You know, when you get older, you start paying for lifestyle cancer.
What I'm giving you actually is the age group of registered voters. So these are the ones who are registered.
Right. Okay. So that makes it even smaller.
Right. Then finally, we have the 70-year-old plus.
Yep.
Who are 5.2 million, representing 5.66% of the voting population.
That's pretty good conversion for how many people? It's almost 100%.
Right. So let me take a fast forward leap. Elections on the 25th of February. I had a chance to listen to a panel discussion by the France 24 TV station, and a gentleman who is an analyst of Nigeria called Emmanuel Iga said there were 3 polls that he was privy to, and each of these 3 polls had a different candidate in the lead. And I found that quite telling and quite interesting. On the final day, when the results were announced, this is what the results were. Tinubu, the 70-year-old, won the vote by 8.7 million votes. He was followed closely by Atiku Abubakar, 6.9 million votes. And then Peter Obi had 6.1 million votes.
Ooh, almost made second place. There was a 4th candidate that was also beamed on news as having garnered 1.4 million votes. This is the name Rabiu. He's probably like an independent.
He has a political party of his own, yeah. Tinubu is from the ruling party. Tinubu is from the APC. Atiku is from the PDP. And Peter Obi was running on a party called the Labour Party.
Yeah,
the Labour Party appeared to be very popular with the youth.
Well, that's who's going to keep voting. So watch that party grow in strength.
Watch the party grow in strength. Now,
because when you have young people thinking like that already,
right,
you have their offspring thinking like that as well.
Right.
So when they're in their next age group, the 35 to 49, they'll still vote for those people. And guess what? Their kids who are having kids of their own are going to vote as well because mom and dad did, and mom and dad are never wrong. And they get the results. They get into the program. Even now, people these days don't do things because mom and dad did. They do things because they want it to be the right thing for the future. It's different. It's not for the past. It's for the future now. People are thinking it shifted. That's what the paradigm shift was. It's like instead of thinking in the past. So this Labour Party representative, we had that with the NDP. They were called the Labour Party, but with recent things going on in my country,
right. Not yet. Hold the horses, John.
It's been changed. But with the Labour Party people,
to your country.
He will the way it's not what his party name is, it's what he's doing. It's like what's that a phrase that I call it? It's not command and ignore, it's lead by example.
Lead by example.
You know, you just try to give orders and pretend you don't know nothing about it. Right. If you lead by example, like you just really keep to yourself and you just do it, and your productivity speaks louder than words, like actions speak louder than words do.
Right. Remember, this is the gentleman I said, Peter Obi was the one.
Yeah, he takes minimum. He's very practical. He's not extravagant. He's practical. He doesn't live beyond his means.
There you go.
He stays within his boundaries.
Right.
He doesn't go beyond his means, because when people try to live beyond their means, they're creating a shell which they can't maintain.
Right.
And it gets broken over time.
Noted.
It happens to every person like that. You know,
Noted.
I don't need to point any examples. We can all draw our own examples from that, but that's the method,
Right.
the mechanics of it.
Let me share with you some interesting bit of information. The European Union sent a team of observers, and these are called the European Election Observation Mission, to Nigeria. And this is what they had to say about, they released a first preliminary statement, and this is what they had to say about the elections. In summary, the report cover says elections held on schedule, but lack of transparency and operational failures reduced trust in the process and challenged the right to vote.
Yep. There's already a hiccup in the system already.
Certainly.
Like when you're on your computer, all of a sudden, wait a minute, what happened to my webpage? There's a glitch in the system. Somewhere,
Right.
something happened. So that should be an indicator. And people have their guards up so high now after 2 years of being locked down.
Right.
You know, in a general scale, I'm sure even in Nigeria, everybody's experienced it. It's massive. So it's like taking a piece of paper and wrinkling it all up. And you want to straighten it out and say, nothing happened here. People are like, wait a minute, last time that took place, you did something to that paper. And there's something else glitching up there that shouldn't be. You promised us a smooth operation, but wait a minute, what's going on here?
There you go.
And if there's anything to raise suspicion, people aren't naive anymore. No. We are experienced. We've been through it. All of us have. We can't say we haven't because all of us were here.
Right.
So they're expecting people to trust. It's like your girlfriend says, I'll never sleep around you. And you find her smelling some other guy's cologne on her clothes when you're out with your buddy's studying hall. And she says, no, nothing was wrong. And vice versa. I mean, the roles would be changed, gender would be changed, whatever, you know, a different situation.
Right.
I didn't mean to say gender, but you know, you can decide whatever that is for yourself. Not my opinion.
Noted. So let me raise some bit of curiosity here. There were 93 million voters, but the winner emerged with 8.7 million votes. Does that say something to you?
Of that. Well, yeah, if he's got 8 million votes out of 93 million,
right?
It's grand total, right? So that's probably like not even 8%.
There you go.
10% tops.
Right. Remember, Nigeria is the most populous nation in Africa.
Yes.
200 million people.
That's a lot of voters.
Certainly. So there would be cause for concern that out of 93 million voters, the winner emerges with 8.7.
Is anybody speculating that it might be some outside interference taking place?
There's been speculation that there's been inside interference. So
well, that's where it starts. Outside interference never does anything to show where the line leads. They get somebody inside under covert, whatever which ways. In Canada, we have a bribery system.
Right.
And we had the government working with these people for a decade. And
right.
It's hidden.
So
choice was that he liked it because he could stay where he was. That's fine. People do things for two reasons, either fear or loyalty. That's all they do things for. So it's not hard to figure out what went on. If I were anybody with what's gone on, it's good to critical think and question stuff. It is. So you shouldn't be ashamed to question it. No.
Moving ahead, Nigeria is still in the throes of those election results, so we'll keep our eyes on that. And I wish to move to the country called Israel. Al Jazeera News reported that Israel has been conducting judicial reforms. And in the judicial reforms, they say there was a plan by the Netanyahu government to weaken the Supreme Court, which then triggered weeks of mass protest. I'll give you one of the key points in this. The government has been pushing, this is the Israeli government, has been pushing for changes that would limit the Supreme Court's powers to rule against the legislature and the executive, giving the Israeli parliament or the Knesset the power to override Supreme Court decisions with a majority of 61 out of the 120 Knesset seats. Any comments from you, Jim?
Well, the judiciary separate from the responsibilities of a democratic government, they not only need to be separate and without influence, but they have to be seen to be. Well, first of all, Israel is a remarkable democracy. Has taken a piece of land that most would have considered almost inhabitable. And today it's one of the most thriving, successful countries that happens to be a democracy in the world by every measure.
Right.
Every measure.
Right.
I see the attempt to usurp the powers and take over the powers of the judiciary as, well, democracy, in my view, would be either damaged or frankly, it would not be a democracy in the truest sense that we know it. Now, in fairness, the United States in its approach, with a partisan approach to the appointment of judges, I'm not sure it's any better and maybe even worse. There's always been some concerns over how judges are appointed in Canada, and that the Prime Minister of Canada eventually has the responsibility to appoint judges at the federal and provincial levels. They try to have a system that is and appears to be arm's length, but I'm not sure that we have that separation in Canada. And what I have noticed, and a little off topic, Lawi,
No problem.
that when governments do not take the leadership on major issues that affect the citizens, and here in Canada, for example, medical assistance in dying, other issues that the government just failed to address because of the political feedback, they left it to the judiciary to make those decisions that should be made by those we vote in a democracy. So if you take Israel, if the government in effect weakens or controls the judiciary, I don't consider that to be a democracy at all. And I don't consider the U.S. right now as a democracy for that reason.
Right, right. And those are good pointers because, Supreme Court ought to be the pinnacle of justice, in the absence of which then everything else fails, unless I'm mistaken.
Yes, they're the counterpoint to, particularly to governments that overstep.
Certainly. Switching gears and coming to you. Who are you?
I am, I'm a meat popsicle. No, I can probably say I've had all flavors of life, but I also can understand that I'm so smart that I know I don't know anything about anything. Because there's so much out there that, life for me is linear. I'm only going on my path. So, and meeting other people along that path is their own experience too. And they have their own opinions, and they're allowed to, in their own life paths and their own behaviors. When I hear a phrase from Voltaire, which has to do with free speech, even if somebody speaks something I disagree with, I'm glad that they are able to tell me that they disagree with me.
Noted.
But I have balance. We have to have that disagreement and agreement to create a solution.
If I was to take away Voltaire from your descriptor, who would you be?
Me? I don't know. I guess from the mentors I had would be who I am. You admire somebody and you try to be like them because you admire them.
Right.
And you have different people in lives, and everybody has different mentors in their lives, not to do with humans. It could be situations or whatever it could be. There's so many different things it could be. Experiences, a photo that they look at that changes their life.
Thank you.
A song, anything, a bird, experience that they went through and they managed to get out of it, that could change them too. But we all are important.
Indulge me. I like stripping away. It's like we're peeling the onion, and I like stripping away. I take away your mentors. Who would you be?
Who would be? I'd be just a human on this planet trying to better my surroundings.
A human in this planet trying to better his surroundings.
Yeah, my surroundings. I wouldn't say his or her because I don't see myself in my organic self as a male or female. I'm just a human life force. It makes my heart beat. It allows me to breathe and wake up every day. My head works. I can record stuff and interact with other people that are experiencing completely different things. But once in a while, those paths will cross each other and interact.
Right.
But there's so many of us. If we did that, we'd never feel lonely. But that's who I am. And that's what we're all here to do, is just to be here and make things better. That's that sample. That's really all it really is.
I had the privilege of attending the Ontario Turfgrass Symposium, and I spoke to a couple of people during that symposium. It always motivates or brings some new learning on my side when I hear people speak about themselves. As I said, I always like peeling the masks and asking the question, if I used to take this away from you and take that away from you, who would you be? And I want to play a little bit of what some of them told me. At least let's see.
I'd be interested in hear other people's opinion.
What other people say.
It's also to do with their backgrounds too, their history.
Right.
That story has a lot to play with what their answer will be.
Here we go.
Okay, let's have it.
I'm still at the Ontario Turfgrass Symposium, and I've come across a very interesting gentleman. I will not introduce him because he's going to do that for us. This is the Samaismela Radio Show. Go ahead, sir.
My name is Alan Pinsonneault, and I'm with the Professional Lawn Care Association of Ontario, and I also have a company called Al's Lawn and Garden in Chatham, Ontario.
Great. When people ask the question, who are you? Most of the times we get the response, I am so-and-so, this is my profession. If I was to strip away your company and strip you away of your presidency, who would you be, Alan?
I would be a person that loves nature and humanity and wants to get up and learn something new every day. And I think enjoy all the gifts that God has given us. And I think that would be a great thing. Sometimes with my profession, I don't have time to do all those things, unfortunately.
I am Randy Booker. I am a golf course superintendent, and I've been in the business for roughly 40 years, 20 years of which I followed the conventional mindset of fertilizers and pesticides and needing to do cultivation practices to turf to enable it to provide the conditions that we thought we needed. The last 10 years of my life I have spent working in a regenerative mindset, meaning that I have begun to understand the system as opposed to just the plant. The plant lives in soil, and we need to understand the reaction between the soil and the plant, and thus we need to understand the reaction between a human and the system as well, because we are not controllers of a system. We are part of the system.
Hi, my name is Ryan Scott, Oakville Golf Club Superintendent and immediate past president of the Ontario Golf Course Superintendents Association. Just joining a wonderful day of networking and learning experience at the OTS, and happy to be here. Thank you.
Good, sir. If I was to ask you a very simple question that we find many people find it difficult to answer, maybe easy for you, who would you say you are? Who are you?
Just an individual trying to create his own path, learning from one day to another, and again, at almost 50 years old, still trying to figure things out. Every day is a new day, a new experience, and just trying to be the best person that I can be, the best leader that I can be for a lot of young staff, young people, and my daughter, more importantly. And every day comes with challenges and resolutions, and just trying to, again, be the best representation of myself.
On a day-to-day basis, when people ask who they are, the likely response is likely to be about the functions, the roles, and what they are in society. Do you think many people get lost trying to find themselves while satisfying the various roles and functions that society expects of them?
I think one could get lost. I think that we do see that quite often in today's society. There's lots of pressures to be something substantial. I think that we need to learn from even the younger generations now that are teaching our older generations, we'll call it the Gen X and beyond, that life is short and to take more time for yourself as opposed to putting all your efforts into a company or something along those lines. So I think there's a good representation of young people that give us a better understanding that life is short and that we should enjoy it for ourselves and put everything that we have into ourselves that could give us the best opportunity to give to our companies or communities or what have you.
When is the best time to find yourself? Is it before you start getting into roles, when you're into the roles, or after a certain milestone in life? Let me give you an example. After the kids have moved out of the house, is that the time to find yourself, or is your best time to find yourself before the kids come?
Based off of my experience, I would say the best time to find yourself is while you're young, before you are locked down with financial responsibilities. But I think, again, approaching 50, I think you're always finding yourself. You're evolving, and what you were like 10 years ago is not how you are today, and so forth. So, and I think when I retire, I think that I will have a better opportunity to find out who I am at 65, 62, whenever that might be. And again, you don't want to have to wait until then. I think while you're younger, before you have these financial commitments and commitment to organizations or whatever, is probably your best time to go and try to find yourself or explore, see what is out there. There's plenty of things to see. Take the time to do it while you're young.
Mr. President, I promise to keep this short, and I want to ask you a final question. As a past president of the OGSA, what did you find out about yourself that you didn't know prior to becoming president of the OGSA?
Yeah, really good question. When I first joined the OGSA Board of Directors, really didn't know what to expect. And, 6 years later, I found that the best part about being on the board, being committed to the golf course industry at large, was the amount of people that and relationships that I gained throughout those years, and working with so many like-minded individuals that come together, that put their own individual needs aside and do things that will enhance our industry within Ontario borders and then beyond that. And working with these people was one of the best experiences that I have done for myself in my many years of this and being in this industry, which is 25 years, so quite a long time. So it has been, and I do want people to know that it is a great opportunity to really expand your borders and your horizons, and you should consider joining the board of directors at the OGSA level.
Thank you, Ryan. I appreciate your time.
Great. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Well, I'm Katie Giles, and I work at Big One Island.
Debbie Bultena, and I work at St. George's.
Many people talk about what they do, and the question I always ask is, have you found yourself?
Have I found myself? Yes. I believe I have found myself.
That's good.
I found grass.
No, I feel like we're still developing and learning.
Still developing and learning. I will not put you under pressure now, but I will look for you guys at some point during the OTS. I will ask the same question.
Okay.
And the reason I wanted to ask you at this point is so that I can see the freeze in your face when I ask a question. Is that a fair question?
Yes.
This is the Samaismela Show, and I'm at the OTS Symposium, Ontario Turfgrass Symposium. I'm standing in front of a very interesting gentleman. He'll tell us who he is. Our theme again is, who are you? So we're exploring social consciousness, and I will ask you the simple question, who are you?
I'm Brent Baker with Simplistic Lines Incorporated. We're just outside of Stratford, Ontario, and we specialize in sports field lining products and supplying the industry with our knowledge and products to help with the sports field lining industry. We have our base is basically through southwestern Ontario, but we were actually moved into Australia. We have distributors in Australia and in Ireland.
So Brent, we met at the Woodstock show. One of the things that I was impressed with your presentation, or at least your setup, was not only the facilities or equipment you had, but your openness to speak. If someone was to ask you the question beyond your profession, who are you? Who would you say Brent is?
I'm an average guy. I like to talk at the level. We basically built these products on a need for a market. So I basically took my knowledge of technology and mechanical skills and put it into a product that we thought that could really help people. The sports field lining industry was a sector that just wasn't getting a lot of attention, and I just felt it needed some honesty and a product that would work, and that's what we focused on. So I like to figure out problems, and we took this and are going with it. So, yeah.
So I realize you have your passion for your product, you have passion for what you do. Does that passion also translate in your day-to-day life in society?
Yeah, for sure. Like we're a family-based company. We really push our kids to get involved in sports and get out into communities and not just sports, but get involved in communities. As far as my family life, community is everything. We're actually, even our business is in the country. We bring in. We're involved with co-op programs with the schools. So we try to bring in people from that want to learn more about some unique technology and manufacturing, things like that, and. So.
Why do you think it's important to be involved in community?
I think it's important to be involved in community. One, it brings people together. I mean, I think there's nothing like knowing your neighbor. You just know what's going on more in your community, but it's also you know the needs of the community as well. So that's kind of. I don't know, we were always just raised that way. And
Noted. If I was to take away your profession, if I was to take away your family, I'm not saying take away in a negative sense, but say people are away, you're by yourself in a forest, no one is around you, who would you say Brent is?
I know Brent is, he's outgoing, social. I try to give back as much as we can, look at the needs of others, religion is important to us, education, moving forward, basically, pushing yourself to do more.
But I'll take it further, and maybe at some point you'll also see where I'm heading with this. If I was to take away education, take away your religion, take away everything else that's external, extrinsic, that defines you externally, and now we start getting into the internal Brent, what would that be? And then who would you then say, take away all this, and this is what Brent is. Take away my outgoing personality. What else would Brent be?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure how to answer that. I don't quite understand what you mean. Like,
no problem. I'll restate it. If everything else was taken away from you, everything else, and you're in an island by yourself, no phone, no family, who would you say Brent is in solitude, where nothing else exists but Brent? Who would you say Brent is?
Personality-wise, like, I'd say Brent's an honest person. Appreciate the small things. Really the basic essentials are the most important to me versus the amenities in life. Being good, trustworthy are the main, good to other people, and bettering society. I think that's that's Brent.
Yeah. Brent, I understand it's a difficult question I'm taking you through, but essentially what I'm trying to do is strip away everything else that people have or that use as a descriptor of themselves, and just trying to get right down to the human level person. So thanks a lot, Brent. I know it's a difficult question I put you through, but I appreciate that you've indulged me, and it's a continuous process of learning. So our audience will be listening to this, and I'm sure they'll be able to also start asking themselves the same questions. Yeah. I appreciate your time, Brent.
Nice. Thank you.
And we'll see you around.
Yes. Take
Cheers.
care.
Thanks a lot.
Right.
Cheers. This is the Samaismela Show. I'm speaking to a very interesting lady. I won't tell you who she is because she's going to tell us. And before we start off, I just want to ask a few math questions. 1 + 1
Is 2.
2 + 2
Is 4.
3 × 3
Is 9.
4 / 4.
4 divided by 4 is 1.
Okay, now we've gone through the math. She's more relaxed, so we can get right into the question. Who are you?
I'm Dr. Sara Stricker. I'm the Communications and Outreach Coordinator at the Guelph Turfgrass Institute for the University of Guelph.
Right. Great. Dr. Stricker, one of the questions that I like making a follow-up to is, if I was to take away your doctorate, who would you be?
I guess I would be a plant pathologist. I'm a big science nerd. I'm a teacher, and I guess I'm a big proponent in the community online about talking about science education.
Right. So I keep stripping away. So I take away your teacher hat, and I take away your environment cap. Who are you?
I'm a gardener, and I like walking my dog, and I have a cat also that I take for walks. I'm very much an outdoors person.
Great. So I take away your garden, I take away your dog, and I take away your cat. Who are you?
Oh, that's tough. I guess I'm still pretty crafty. I like to build things. I like to make things. I'm a proponent of many different skills. I have many skills acquired over a long career. So everything from woodworking to milling to, whittling.
So I keep stripping away. And this time I take you to an island in the Bahamas. And there's no one in the Bahamas except yourself and nobody else. Who would you be? You have no garden to go to. You have no pets to go to. The only plants you have are the ones in the island. Who would you be?
I would probably be the survivalist who'd be digging under rocks and looking for insects to eat. I'd be very creative. My partner always jokes that if there's ever a zombie apocalypse, I'm the person to have on your team because I'm very resourceful.
Right. Thank you for that. So let me switch gears a bit here and come to why everyone is gathered today at Guelph. What is happening today at Guelph?
We're hosting the 32nd Ontario Turfgrass Symposium, which is a unique conference in that it brings together all sectors of turf, from lawn care to golf to sports to municipal parks. It's really awesome. It's a very educational opportunity, and it's a great opportunity for networking across those sectors.
I can imagine there's been quite a deal of stress on your side. Maybe not, you're seasoned, but what do you think has been the greatest learning opportunity for you organizing this symposium?
The last year we did it entirely virtual. Now we're doing it entirely in person. I'm surprised at how many people this year have asked me for virtual opportunities. I think that there's still an interest in that. And so I think moving forward, we'll try to find some way to satisfy both audiences. But I still feel that there's a lot of value having it in person. But of course, that raises accessibility questions for time and money. And even we have a freezing rainstorm coming, sometimes people can't drive in. So I think moving forward, that's what we're going to be trying to do. That's what I'm learning about, yeah.
Right. I want to keep it short, but I still have maybe one more minute. I wanted to inquire, how many people are attending the symposium this year?
We have 320 registrants at last count. They're all in person, but they're split over the 2 days, and they're also split in 3 different rooms. So it feels pretty empty when one of the rooms can sit I think 600 people. So it feels like there's less than it is, but when everybody's out and chatting and around the booths and talking, then you can really feel that energy. There's quite a lot of people here. Yeah.
Right. And I actually felt the energy standing at the foyer. Final question. What do you think this symposium means for you in terms of learning who you are?
I think it's really brought together my different skills and being flexible, and that I've had to change on the fly a couple of presentations and the schedule, and letting go of my perfectionism that everything needs to be absolutely perfect. Things are going to change at the last minute that you don't have any control over. So I think that's been a really interesting learning opportunity for me as well.
Great. That's Dr. Sara Stricker. I won't take up too much of your time. I know you're busy, but I appreciate the time you spent with us.
Oh, thank you.
This is the Samaismela Show. I'm sitting with a gentleman at the OTS Symposium. I won't tell you who he is because he's going to tell us who he is. Good sir, who are you?
Hi, my name's Trevor Warner. I am the Assistant Supervisor for Sports Fields for the City of Woodstock. Glad to be here today. I'm trying to take in some new knowledge. Always learning, and hopefully the next 2 days, lots of good educational forums here, and pick some new things up.
Great. When people ask the question, who are you? Many people always fall on the profession. If that was stripped away from you, who would you be?
That's a good question. Husband, father of 2, avid bass fisherman as much as I possibly can. And that's ex-college baseball player. That'd be about it, really. That's my life in a whole has been in the sports field industry for 23 years now.
Right. And this is where I'm headed. If I was to strip away your family, if I was to strip away your sports background, who would you be?
I don't know. I honestly don't know that answer because that's all I've done. All I've done, yeah.
And I like that you're very honest about this. One of the things I'm trying to establish is, do people lose themselves over time, fulfilling roles and responsibilities, and then they look back in time and say, who am I really? Do you think that happens?
I believe it could. in my personal opinion, though, what I do for a living is, in my opinion, extremely important. I'm giving back to the community, giving back to our sports groups within our city and across the province in respects. And to me, that is worth something. If I'm known at the end of the day as a little bit too much a worker, I will take that negativity. To this day and age, some people think that is a wrong. In my opinion, it's not. So I don't think I've lost myself at all. I think all I've done is help out with the community and keeping players and athletes safe and on safe and playable surfaces. So to me, if that is me, I am truly happy with that.
And I appreciate that you're in a good place where you're able to speak about finding yourself confidently. When do you think, if you're speaking to your 20-year-old self, or let me even take you back to your 13-year-old self, when would you say is the best time to find yourself?
I would have said all I want to do is play baseball back at 13, 15 years of age. My 20-year-old self, I was already, that is pretty much the timeline of when I started to take on a knack and appreciation for the sports field side of things, on how behind the scenes of the sport being played, but how is that field taken care of. And I do believe that would probably set me in my path for sure. As a college baseball player, we took care of the field ourselves, and I truly enjoyed doing that, and it led me directly into that business.
As I said, I wanted to keep it short. I know I put you in a spot trying to ask very hard questions, but I'm very grateful that you gave me time to go through these questions. I appreciate your time, sir.
Well, I appreciate you taking the time to set up your radio show, and I didn't know anything about it. Now I do. I learned something new today for sure, so I do appreciate you too.
I appreciate you, sir.
Thank you.
Thanks so much.
Here, I'll give you...
Yep. Let me switch gears at this point and ask you, who are you?
Who am I? It's an interesting question because I've been pondering these through questions that actually one of my daughters signed me up on Storyworth, and I get a question every week, and I have to answer the question, and then it's put, after 52 of these, is put into a binder. And the more difficult the question, the more challenging, and I guess the more excited I get about it. For example, one of the questions was something such as, how did your life turn out differently than you thought it would? And I didn't know how to answer the question until it dawned on me. And I remember reading I wish I'd kept the name of the book, but I heard a interview with the professor of a U.S. University. And he said that our lives are a series of luck. And he annoyed these big, fat-shirted business people who said, I made my millions because I worked hard. I'm smart. And he said, no. He said, you made your millions by taking the luck you were given and made the best of it. So I went back and said, my luck began 1/1,000,000th of a second after I was born, because I had no choice when I was born, 1947,
right,
where I was born, Ontario, Canada,
right,
from whose parents I was born almost blind. Had I not been blind, you and I wouldn't be speaking today, because I probably wouldn't have been member of the Lions Club where you and I met.
Right.
If I hadn't been blind, I would never have met my wonderful wife. We would never have had twin daughters, 7 grandchildren. I would never have had the opportunity through my employment had I been traveling the world. I've been to most continents, many countries as part of my career, but I've traveled from coast to coast to coast in Canada.
Right.
All of that happened because I happened to be born. Oh, and I was born right after the Second World War.
Yes.
Anybody could get a job, and if you worked hard, you would be financially successful, because it was our The generations today don't have that opportunity. So luck, that's the way I would answer that question. Who am I? I am a person who has worked hard, and by sheer luck, I was born at the right time in the right place, and I mean this in the most sincere way. Had I not been blind, and I would never have had the opportunities I have today. So that's who I am. Hardworking. I'm interested in people. I have a wonderful family, and I consider myself the luckiest person in the world.
Perfect. And at the risk of being too simplistic, could I say you're a product of luck?
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
And that's not simplistic. The old expression, you play the cards that you're dealt.
Right.
I think I played the cards fairly well, but if I don't look back on one day, 1 week, 1 month, and say, I wish I could do that over, I haven't learned a thing. And the day that I don't look back and say, I wish I could do it over, is the day I've stopped learning.
Certainly. And I want to follow up again on the luck bit. If you were not lucky, what would you be?
Well, I wouldn't be.
You wouldn't be.
I wouldn't be. Now, luck comes in two ways. There's good luck and there's bad luck.
Yes.
And I've been very fortunate.
Okay.
Lucky? No, I've been lucky. I've had excellent health.
Right.
All my life.
Yes.
Now, I've had excellent health in all my life, but I also, at least, not when I was growing up, but at least in the last, I would say, over 30 years, I have exercised every morning. I watch what I eat.
Right.
I enjoy a glass of wine. I enjoy a fine single malt or a martini. So I've enjoyed good health by luck, but I've maintained good health by hard work.
Right. And your evening, is it evening or afternoon sit downs with your wife?
At 5 o'clock every day, now that I'm retired, it can be 5 o'clock. We sit in our sunroom and have a glass of wine and chat about the day and plan tomorrow. And we see each other throughout the day, but I'm up quite early in the morning, so I make my own breakfast. I have a protein shake at lunch, which I make myself. Anne is a gourmet cook, so we have a glass of wine and a nice dinner, and I try to set aside my volunteer activities at 5 o'clock every day for the rest of the day. And I will take phone calls if it's absolutely necessary, but if I had to learn any lesson in life, and this was another of these questions I answered.
Right.
What would, I forget how it was, but not kind of what would you do differently?
No problem.
I would, looking back based upon my current experience, I would be much more careful on setting priorities. I thought that the world would stop if I wasn't working.
Right.
And yet we have twin girls. Anne stayed at home. She's a school teacher that she stayed at home with the children. And frankly, I had no idea that Anne's responsibilities were far greater than mine, far more complex than mine. I couldn't have done them. But I was out saving the world. Anne was bringing up our wonderful family and getting ready for the next generation. So who is doing the most important thing? So if I were looking back on mine, I would be resetting priorities. And yes, I'm coming up on 76 in next week.
Right.
And it's not too late to reset priorities. I'll never get that life back, but I want to make sure that the life that I now lead, I can be a little bit more, of which I can be a little more proud.
Sure, certainly, Jim. I don't want to make the interview too long and then take away too much from you today, but want to make sure that you're able to come back to studio another time. But I wanted to play one clip of gentlemen, and see if you will probably recognize this. And I play it in the context of music that made nations dance. Let me see if you recognize this voice.
Okay.
Hey! Habari zenu! Wa Kenya! Impio! It is great to be back in Kenya. Thank you so much for this extraordinary welcome. I know it took a few years, but as president, I try to keep my promises. And I said I was going to come, and I'm here. So, and everybody, go ahead and have a seat. I'm going to be talking for a while. Relax. I am proud to be the first American president to come to Kenya. And of course, I'm the first Kenyan American to be president of the United States. That goes without saying. I love you back. I do. First time I came to Kenya, things were a little different. When I arrived at Kenyatta Airport, the airline had lost my bags. That doesn't happen on Air Force One. They always have my luggage on Air Force One. And at that airport, as I was trying to find my luggage, there was a woman there who worked for the airlines, and she was helping fill out the forms, and she saw my name, and she looked up and she asked if I was related to my father, who she had known. And that was the first time that my name meant something, right? And that it was recognized. Americans are learning Swahili. They're eating chapati, and they're listening to Kenyan music. In California, they've been dancing to Sura Yako. So here tonight and across the United States, Kenyans and Americans are coming together.
Sura yako mzuri mama.
No better song to play to you, Jim, than one.
Well, you've got a great voice, Lawi.
Oh, sorry, I had no better song to play to you than one introduced by Commander-in-Chief.
Yes.
Did that song make you move?
Absolutely. I was vibrating in my chair.
Right, it inspires movement.
Yes.
We're introducing a segment called Music That Made Nations Dance.
Yes.
So at some point, we'll also be trying to look for Canadian music that made Canadians dance. I hope you'll be part of that.
Look forward to it.
Look forward to it, Jim?
Yes.
As I said, I didn't want to keep you too long on air today. And the reason is also very specific. I want you to have an open invite to future discussions on this radio show.
I look forward to it, Lawi. And let me say that those of us who have met you through the Lions Club of Guelph, and I'm sure many of your student colleagues, professors, and others at the University of Guelph are pleased and grateful that you have chosen not only Canada, but Guelph and the University of Guelph to further your your professional and your personal goals and aims. So I wish you the very best.
I appreciate that. Coming from you, Jim, is most appreciated. And say hi to your wife, Anne. At some point in the video, she will appear because we saw her coming to check on you. So we thank her as well for looking at you.
I'll pass that on. Thank you.
Thank you, Jim. See you soon.
Keep well.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, we've come to the end of the first hour of the Samaismela Show. In the next hour, we've lined up a DJ mix for you, and we've split the DJ mix into 3 sessions. In the first session, we're going to have country pop music. So all you pop lovers of country, stay tuned. In the second set, we have lined up for you amapiano music from South Africa. Stay tuned as well. We'll be bringing that to you in the next 20-minute set. In the final set, we'll head up to the East African region and play you Tanzanian music from the genre Bongo Mix. So stay tuned. I will not leave before I leave you in the good hands of Aimee Copping, who will be reciting The Nakedness of Truth. This DJ mix is courtesy of DJ Max Jones and his crew all the way from Kenya. Take it away, Aimee.
When truth and lie meet today, a good day since yesterday. Truth looks up and confesses the splendors of the day. Truth and lie in privacy, in fantasy, playfully expending midday. Lie coaxing truth, sweet waters these be, come let's take a swim. Make no worry for your clothing here, let's indulge in whim. Truth never shilly-shallying, sashaying and prancing to the waters so gleam, to ponder on yonder, observing pleasure in maxim. In spiff, whiff, lie egressing whence the waters. Saunters ditzy skiffy to the palming trees, potters, genteel mannerism falters. Donning truth's clothes, stock still in the waters, speeding off, raising dust, tutelary spirit totters. In panic disco, truth materializing, uncapricious from the waters, seething, giving chase, steaming, in just cause, impatience teeming, discord, alas, mankind seeing truth unseeming, mockery, derision, ostracizing truth to the ponds, to the wells, whence efflorescing. On this day, lie is with us, welcomed with open arms. Sartorial lie beguiles truth. True lies in open swarms, because fellow humans eschew truth blatantly and shun the nakedness of truth flagrantly.
Outrageous fun. I got a piece of land out in